Peace. This is Spiritual Lifting with V. Let me get your soul swole. Today's topic is connections, communications, and trust. First, I'd like to begin this topic off by saying I love all of you. I love the universe. And such a beautiful day. I love myself. But, the beautiful birds out here chirping today. I love them too. They're so beautiful. We're going to start with connections. A lot of times in life, we try to build connections and we can't understand why we can't get the connections to work. And a simple reason a lot of the times is because we simply do not know how to connect with ourselves. We don't even know where to begin to create this connection. We as people, our entire lives have always been taught to make all these connections, but how can you truly connect or have a deep connection if you don't connect with yourself, if you don't know truly who you are and what you need and what you love and self-discovery, right? It's hard to go and be connected to anyone else. And so when we get in sometimes in any type of relationship, whether it's just a friendship, family, or even with ourselves, we go through these difficult times and we don't know. We know we want something, but we're not sure what it is or why it is. And a lot of times we'll get that thing that we want and we'll lose out on it or miss the whole boat completely because we didn't understand how to connect with it. But that comes from not knowing how to connect with ourselves. As kids, right? You don't spend a whole lot of time by yourself because you either have a little brother, sister, your parents. Even if your parents aren't there, you're going to have the babysitter. Even when you go to school, some kids have single parents homes. And I'm not talking about, where homes where you're neglected, because definitely then, you're spending a lot of time by yourself. But I think that those people probably have more self-grounding and know how to connect with themselves because they were forced into spending lots of time by themselves. They were forced into being alone. And that actually makes you a pretty strong person. And I'm not advocating that people do this to their children. But what I'm saying is that there are lots of people who grew up that way. And so they may have a stronger mentality and a stronger self-connection because of isolation or solitude. So I can give you several things, learning to connect with yourself is a great thing. Take time every day, just to be alone and communicate with the universe, the Almighty, the Grand Creator, the Soul Controller. And get your energy moving and motivated. Putting yourself out in nature. It's beautiful out every day. But just go at it alone for a little bit so you can begin the self-connection, clear the mind, take time to think about who you are and really give appreciation to yourself, Every day I believe I wake up and I have so much gratitude for life and living and just appreciation of being who I am and that I was not born another person or anyone else. Because I really, honestly, no matter what has happened in my life, I really wouldn't want to be. I could only want to be this right here. I know what my journey is. I know I'm connected to me. Are you connected to you? The second part is communication. But we have to get down the first part. We have to learn to connect with ourselves so we can move forward and begin to communicate who we are and what we want out of life and how we're trying to be and what we want to present of ourselves. How do you want to be viewed? But not by the world, but how do you want to be viewed by yourself, as yourself, who you are? Because it's hard to build a connection and communication with another person if we don't even know how to communicate with ourselves. That's what I see a lot of times, well, it's not even a lot of times, it's just like in this time period. Just take a look. There's no connections, no communication. And I'll leave the last, and we're going to tie it all together. But we must learn how to communicate better. When you get two people together or a group of people and the communication just goes awry, and you know what can happen. It's like somebody just, boom, drops some fireworks off, a bomb. It's crazy. You have to learn how to communicate. Allow yourself to be loved. The love is free. The love is free. Communicate that though. Learning to communicate and would bring you so much closer to connecting, but communicate with yourself by connecting with yourself first. Because when you come into full acceptance of what and who you are and drop the fear of being vulnerable, you can allow the communication and the connection to happen. It's easy, but it's ever so hard. A lot of great things never happened because of lack of communication. A lot of great plans were fumbled and foiled in this life because of lack of communication. A lot of hatred was bred in this world because of lack of connection and communication, which led to a complete and total misunderstanding. And it's very difficult to communicate with oneself, because when you start communicating with yourself, you start realizing a whole lot of things about yourself. And maybe some of those things you're not going to like in the very beginning, because the first part is you're going to understand that maybe you never learned how to properly communicate in the first place. And you never really knew who you were in the first place. And self-discovery is a big thing, man. I mean, that road for self-discovery, it can build you up, but it can tear you down just the same, because you have to come into self-admittal of who you've been, who you are, and what you should be. And that growth is beautiful, because by the end of it, when you learn to connect and communicate with yourself, and you find the truth with yourself, now you can begin to start being free, which then leads you to having an open heart, an open spirit. It's amazing how it all keeps tying back to an open heart, an open spirit. So the first two things, learn to connect with yourself and learn to communicate with yourself. And once we do these things, we can learn to trust ourselves. A lot of relationships suffer, and I mean relationships on all levels suffer, because of the lack of trust, which stems from a lack of communication, which stems from a lack of connection. Connection, communication, and trust. We have to learn how to trust ourselves out here. But if you have never been able to trust anyone around you, or you don't even know what trust is, you probably don't trust yourself. And I'm not saying, I trust I'm going to do what I do, and if someone does something to me, trust me, I'm going to do it right back. No, that's not even, then you just really built yourself to be a very untrustworthy person. Can you trust yourself to tell yourself the truth about your own life, the truth of who you are. I mean, building self-trust. Do you trust yourself to respect yourself on a daily basis? Do you trust yourself to love yourself? Because these are all very difficult things to do, and especially if you were given these things in life, these tools to use by a very trusting, communicative, connecting family, which it's not really greatly taught here. And this is not really a new day where this is going on. I mean, just check the facts. You can turn on the TV and you can see this don't add up. We have to push ourselves to be trusted. Trust yourself. Believe on the Almighty. Believe on the Grand Creator, the Soul Controller. Believe on you. Trust that you can be loved. Trust that you are worthy. We don't have to not be trusting, because there's always going to be things and points in life that are going to let you down and take you to a place that you didn't want to be, that you're going to sit there and say, man, this is why I don't trust anyone. This is why I don't trust the process. This is why I don't trust things. But then you're going to miss the boat, because then you're going to start building to yourself a lack of communication and a lack of connection without putting trust. Trust that everything is out here for you. The connection, the communication, and the trust. If you trust you first, the rest will follow. Those energies will come raining down from the cosmos and electrify your system and have you in the right place at the right time to be around the right people. Because when you're moving with an open heart and an open spirit, you will have the connection, the communication, and the trust. And anything else that is any different than any of that, it's going to dissipate. It's not going to be able to handle that vibration. Trust that you can be loved. Trust that you are worthy. I trust you. I trust me. I trust that I'm going to go through this life and I'm going to keep learning. And I'm going to keep building. And I'm going to keep believing on the Father. I'm never giving up. I wouldn't give up. I trust in the process that it was very difficult in life to learn how to connect with myself. Very difficult in life to learn how to communicate with myself. And definitely very difficult in life to learn how to trust myself. But once I started opening up my heart and my spirit, and I started letting go of those fears, fearing the communication and the connection, fearing the trust of myself or anyone else that was around me. Oh, well, this happened to me by this person, so they're definitely going to do it to me because I see some similar. Nah, man. Stop. Do not go through the rest of your life comparing and counting, because then you'll never learn the connection, the communication, and the trust. You'll never get to where you need to be in this life. You'll never be centered. You'll never be one with the universe. I love all of you out there, as well as I love myself. It's such a beautiful day. Oh, and happy birthday to my friend Tone. Me and that guy used to have some great communication, connection, and trust, and he's still my brother to this day. Yeah, the bonds throughout life should never end. Where do you want to be in this life? Do you want to be stuck in the illusion and just think that what you're seeking to never happen and you will never have the communication, connection, and trust with anyone? Or are you going to start with trying to communicate, connect, communicate, and trust within yourself and in the Holy Creator? Start there, people. If you want to build something bigger in this life, you want true love, you want all of these things, start with the connecting and the communicating and the trusting of yourself. And you'll find out that you'll be able to connect, communicate, and trust someone else. If you've liked this subject matter that I've reached on today, drop me some correspondence. I'm always down to correspond. Leave me a message. If you'd like me to do a part 2 to touch deeper on any of those parts, the connection, the communication, or the trust, I had to put them all together today. Let me know. I'll be more than glad to do a part 2 to any bit or piece or the whole thing. And people, remember, this goes along with what I'm saying today. The children are the future and we are the past. But at one point, we were the future. I love all y'all. Learn to connect, communicate, and start trusting yourself so we can build a better world and a better day. This has been Spiritual Lifting with V. Let me get your soul swole. Peace.